Hey everybody, now let's have a little chat. This is, so there we go. Sorry my face is connecting very well. See if I connect. There we go. Now, should we connect on regular cell signal? Man, I'm dirtier than what I thought. All right, so let's have a little chat. So, as parents, one of the things I always try to encourage everybody to do is make sure you always tell your kids you love them and you're proud of them, okay? And, I fight tooth and nail for my daughter all the time, and there are things that I do in order to always make sure she's protected. And there's a lot of things that we as parents will always do to protect our children. And it's funny because I always try to encourage the dads that don't get around their kids. I was like, you need to get around your kids. But they spend years staying away from their kids and they don't ever get around them. And then when they do get around them, they're right away very argumentative because when kids get in teenage years and stuff. One thing you always have to do, though, is always remind your children that you love them and you're proud of them. You got to tell it to them every day. My daughter, I love her. I'm proud of her, I'm always scared for her safety. I've always done what is best for her. And I know a lot of people, they've been watching me over the years on stuff that we do and everything else, because I always like to give advice. Like I said, I'm new to the whole thing. I only have one child. And I know a lot of my Marine Corps brethren and even my Marine Corps sisters and stuff like that, they're new to being parents, or they don't know what to do. And a lot of people, they do face divorces, separations, and stuff like that. But you should never, ever bring the children into it. You should never make the kids part of the divorce or the separation. In other words, you still need to go about with your kids. Never talk bad about the other parent. Never say anything negative about them. I don't. But you know what? They're going to know this later on in life. And I've had, for a very, very long time, there's 2 squirrels over there going crazy right now. They're young squirrels. They've got some young rabbits in the yard, too. I got all kinds of animals in my yard. But anyway, back to what I was talking about. Yes, I see you, squirrel. He's looking at me like, hey, you got any corn? But the whole idea of this is when we tell our kids we love them and we get used to it, later on in life, we don't have that problem with letting them know that we care, showing affection, to your children by just basically doing nice things for them, playing board games, playing outside with them, going to events, doing different things, right? You got to understand that there are 2 parents, and no matter what, you've got to always include both parents. Some parents, they don't ever want to see that. They don't want to go off of that. They just want to be, I don't know. I don't know what goes through everybody's mind, but I'll tell you this right now. If you're a good person, everything will work out. If your intentions are right, okay? And you do things for the right reason and the right way, everything will be right. Now, does it mean every day with your kids is going to be, no, your kids are, you're going to bug your kids and your kids are going to bug you. Simple as that. I know, because like I said, my daughter, is growing up, she's going to be 13. She's growing up to have my personality. She's very, very headstrong. But, she's growing up and she's happy. At least I hope she is. And no matter what we do, there's going to be points in our life that we can't be there all the time. So we have to hope that we taught them and showed them, that somebody else doesn't take away that, there's so many people, they have so much aggression inside of them, so much hate, so much hostility, that for some reason they can't see good anymore. They can only see negative, they can only see their perfect family and you took it away, or, oh my gosh, you prevented me, or you were in the military and I never got to see you and you took years of my life away. And no, I've never been married. But we gotta always learn to forgive each other. We need to learn. When I do motivation all the time, yes, I do a lot of military motivation, but you know what? The Marine Corps taught me a lot of valuable lessons. Consistency is one of them. You have to be consistent in everything you do. You got to clean your rifle all the time. You got to make sure you are always doing the things the same way, but improving upon them, because if you're doing them the same way, you can find ways to improve. Whether it's going on night missions, whether, learning to shut one eye while the other eye is open just in case light blinds you so you can use your night vision. Maybe it is something as simple as talking to somebody from a different country and being able to communicate with them back and forth, to always keep accurate notes, to keep journals. If you stay consistent in life and stay consistent with your kids, and you do the same things over and over. I remember as a kid, every Christmas Eve, we'd spend Christmas at my grandma Coon's house. Christmas evening, we'd always go to our house, my mom's house. She'd always have parties. And then the day after Christmas, we'd always go to my grandma Jansen's house. The whole family would go down there. I've got a very large family. And my family would always come in town. They were consistent with coming in town. I got family and friends that live over in Pekin and Peoria, yet they would always come in town for every holiday, almost every birthday, and they were consistent doing it, and so I got to know my family really, really well. But as we get older, sometimes people fall out of that consistency and they change things to their families, and that's okay. Because, it's good to have your own thing. It's good to go off on your own and do your own. But we got to remember the way we used to do things also, so that maybe we can improve upon them, and still everybody gets to see each other. Motivation in life sometimes, the best motivation you can have is showing up. And, when you go to church, and, I've been to different churches. And it's funny because a lot of my Marine Corps brothers and sisters, they have different faiths and different denominations. Then you're in Jacksonville, North Carolina. And you get a lot of Baptist churches, and you get up to Raleigh and Wake Forest and Nags Head and Sneed's Ferry, and you get all these different places, and they got a lot of Southern Baptists, and they got a lot of Baptists, Christians, Catholics, Lutherans. I've been to them all. And it's funny because you go to church or you go to their masses and they're all different. And it's very, very motivating, but it's consistent. So basically going to church for family members, I've learned that was actually part of their motivation that they did each week. It got them through to the next week, When the coronavirus happened, they closed the churches down and everything. People went online and they tried to do a bunch of stuff. They were trying to do good by their family members and everything else. But it just wasn't the same. We have a lot of things in society that we're consistent about. Whether it's telling your kids you're proud of them, whether you tell your kids you love them all day, you got to be consistent with it. Whether or not you're taking your kids to school every day or making sure they get on the school bus, whether or not you're doing certain projects each week with them. My mom was consistent at always making sure we had supper, and she always made homemade suppers, and I loved it. But my mom wasn't equal to my dad. She could do just as much as he did, and she did. In my family, there was no such things as gender rules. If somebody's sick, the other person would go out into the farm and they would do the farming. As simple as that. It's got to get done. Just because somebody can't do it doesn't mean it just ultimately doesn't need to be done. It still needs to be done. So part of motivation today is consistency, And if you're not around your kids and you don't get to see your kids or you don't get to spend that much time and you miss them, write them a letter. Don't just send to them. Write them a letter and put it away for another day. Now, I've said these before. I've used different traits and tactics that you can use in order to make sure your kids know you've never forgotten about them, that you love them, that, with me, I do videos. I've always done videos, okay? And the thing about it is I make sure that one day when my daughter sees those videos, she knows why I do them. But I also do journal entries. I do diaries. I do, whatever it is, and I write letters to my daughter. And that's what we need to do. So if you're a single parent or even a parent, you don't get to see your kids all the time, that's great. Now with me, I don't get to talk to my daughter during the weeks and stuff like that. And so a lot of times I'd write letters and everything. They're not going to be out and everybody else, and it's funny, people look in the wrong areas, but I do write letters to my daughter, physical handwritten letters, so she knows what my handwriting looks like. She knows who I am. But when you're consistent with it, they know it's coming from you. We're not going to be on this earth very long. And I'm not talking about, yes, in a way I'm talking about we're all going to die. Simple as that. But, it's what you do at this moment. It's leaving who you are today. You're leaving your legacy behind, leaving who you are. You may have only mattered to one person. You may matter to millions that don't even know it. But the whole idea is making sure you do the right thing for the right reason. Stay consistent with it. In the military, yes, you make sure your rifle's clean. Why? You don't want it to jam. If you're consistent with making sure your rifle's clean, no matter what, you're always going to clean that rifle, and it's not going to jam on you. But over time, you know, you keep your knives sharp. You know, you keep your grass cut because you don't want it to get too high. Tell your kids you love them. Get a little motivation, you know. Go to rock walls and stuff with them. Learn to climb. Take the fear away from them before they ever develop the fear. And if you're one of those parents to where the other one's trying to develop fear in the other one's life, you know, whatever you do, don't strike back at them. Be the better person. Why? Because one day your kids are going to see it. You're not going to see it right now, but one day they will. And one day they'll look back at what's going on, because our kids are going to go through puberty, and they're going to go through growing up, and they're going to go through their boy phases or girl phases or whatever else, you know. Some of my friends that are just as old as I am are still going through their girl phases. But one of these days they'll settle down. I don't know. I know I haven't settled down yet. But what am I getting at on this? Just love them. Just be the better person, you know. Not everybody's going to understand the way, because everybody does things differently. Everybody has a different way of doing things. But that's okay. And it's okay because as long as you do it for the right reason, the right way, it's okay. As long as you're not doing anything to harm anybody, as long as you're not doing anything that's crazy or weird or anything like that. But you're doing it because you love your kids, and because, like I said, I used to read to my daughter all the time. All the time. I loved reading to her. Didn't matter. I'd read to her. I'd find ways of reading to her. Why? Because it was important for me to read to her. I didn't care where I read to her. I read to her. Okay? It was important that I said prayers with her every night. It was important that I'd say prayers with my daughter at every meal. Now, why did I do this all the time? Because it was consistent, okay? It was important for me to take my daughter to church so that she could learn what I believe in my faith. One day, if she wants to have her own faith and her own belief system, that's fine. But I know it's going to be a stepping stone from what I taught her. See, we can't control what our kids do when they get older. But we can lay out the platform for them. We can put their base down right now. And that is very important. To me, yes, I want my daughter to know who God is and who Jesus is, you know. And I know a lot of people laugh at me because, you know, with me knowing history and being in different areas and always having priest friends and rabbi friends, and I get in debates and everything else, and I tell people all the time, you know, I probably argue with God more than anybody else, but I do it like a child. And they're like, you can't do that. I'm like, you know what? I'd rather do that and know I have belief than people that just say no way and they don't have any belief. Now, I don't care what people believe in. That's up to you, okay? I know what I believe in. And, you know, and I was always taught growing up, we have to find our own path and our own belief. And how we believe is up to us. But the foundation is set by the parents. My mom and dad took us to church all the time. You know, I learned my first communion in 2nd grade, you know, my confirmation in 8th grade, even though I was in the public school system, I still got confirmed, you know. I went to church every day with school because I went to a Catholic school, you know. I learned to read the Bible and understand it. But when I got out and I got in the Marine Corps and I started learning people's other faiths, you know, theology just mesmerized me, because not because of what's being said, but because how you can find and read, and there's going to be a point that everybody connects. Everybody has that one spot that they can just talk to each other about. To me, you know, my belief system's this. God saved my life many times over, and I give him all the credit and praise for it. I really do. But like any child, like I look at my child, you know, I've gotten mad. I've gotten upset. We all have to find our way. We all have to find our belief. We all have to find our knowledge. We all have to find our motivation. God motivates me every day because he's not giving me the answers. He's given me the tasks. He's given me the obstacles and the challenges, but he doesn't give me the answers. Just like when you're doing a crossword with your kids or something, you know, you can see it, or you can see where a word find. You know it. You can see it there, but you can't tell them. They have to find it. You know where it's at. As the parent, we know, but they have to find it. Because if we give it to them, they're never going to find it. They're going to be relied on us finding it for them every time. So even when we hit obstacles that we can't overcome, it doesn't mean it can't be done. You know, because God's up there in heaven like, oh, almost got it. You almost got it. You got to look at it like that. Oh, just a little bit. You know, he's rooting for us. And he roots for us in a good way. You know, he wants us to overcome these objectives. Because once you overcome an objective, kind of like when you break an Olympic record, There was a guy on the long jump. I think it was the 1964. It was a long jump. And nobody could ever, going all the way back to the Olympics in Greece, nobody ever could break the record for the long jump. One guy comes around, and maybe it was the 1983 Olympics. I think it was 1980 Olympics. And he crushed the world record. Now, that's not the mesmerizing thing. Yes, that's a great achievement, okay? But nobody told him he couldn't break it, and he broke it. Why? Because he didn't train just halfway. He trained to break the record. He trained to basically say, oh, it can be broken, and I will break it. And when he broke that record, it's funny, because then after him, everybody else started breaking the record also, which means he was a pioneer. He actually broke the record, and then people were able to do it. Why? Because somebody saw it could be done. Once they saw it could be done, then it was done. Just like breaking the 100-meter dash, just like hurdles, just like pole vaulting, Records are getting broken all the time. Look at Michael Phelps breaking swimming's been around forever. And he's breaking records that nobody thought possible. The marathon was run by a Greek who had to basically tell him the Persians were coming, and he ran all the way, and then he died. But that's where we get the marathon from, supposedly. God didn't tell us that it can't be broken. He puts us there for us to break it. He puts us there, and the reason why I see it, God He's not a male or a female. He's not a color. He's everything. And if you think down to it, people right now, they're mad about everything going on in life. But the ultimate father that we have, he doesn't have a sex. He or she, it could be anything. Why? Because that's what created us. We were created in His image. Okay, so now we can break records that we never thought could be broken. And then we use that fame that we get to do good by people. Michael Phelps has done a lot of good. So has a lot of other people. So what I'm telling you here is consistency. Consistency will help you break records. Consistency will help get you motivated. God's going to help be there for you. If you don't believe in God, then find something to believe in, even if you got to believe in yourself or believe in other people. But ask yourself this. If God doesn't exist, then how on earth did the world even begin? Who created the Big Bang? Who created the burst? Who snapped the finger? It can't be answered. Science, believe it or not, more people believe in God study science. Just because we can't answer something doesn't mean it doesn't have an answer. We just can't answer it right now. Just because a record hasn't been broken doesn't mean we can't break a record. It just means it hasn't been broken. Now, I'm not going to be breaking any of those records because I didn't train for those records. But if we only train halfway, we're going to never know our true potential. So whatever God puts in front of you, it's a challenge. And I'll tell you right now, I've got a lot of challenges going on. I know what I do is right. And I know that there's a way of doing things. And I'm never going to know who I mattered to. I'm never going to know on what differences I make until the day I'm standing at the pearly gates. St. Peter comes over to me and says, hey, all right, so the devil has a restraining order in hell. And God thinks you're a Marine and you're too crazy for heaven, so, you go to purgatory. No, I'm kidding. I do jokes because everybody's so serious. I don't think God, He did make a platypus, okay? God did make a platypus. Now think about that. Not mammal, not a duck, but He made a platypus. Just love each other. Matter to people. Do your best. Set your goals high every day. You don't know what difference you're going to make. Because each and every one of you matters. Each and every one of you makes a difference. Just because we go through hard times. I'm going through a hard time right now. Okay? Doesn't mean I can't let people know they matter. It doesn't mean that I've got to be silent because, oh my gosh. It just means I'm going through a test. It just means that I've got more of a challenge on me that's going to get me through it. So for whatever reason it's going on right now, Maybe I'll find out, maybe I won't. But the whole idea is, those that are pure at heart, those that know that, okay, I'm not perfect, I mean, I sin more than most people. I curse like a sailor, right? Even though I'm a Marine. But the whole idea is this. You've got this. You can do it. You wouldn't have it in front of you if you couldn't. You wouldn't be given the task, whether it be spiritual or even somebody giving you a task, if they didn't think you could not just achieve it. See, it's not the idea of just achieving the task. It's going above and beyond that of what you're doing, okay? Some people have greatness they just are unaware of. Some people are aware of their greatness, but they're not aware that they got to keep going with it. And some people, the ones that you reach out and pull up and say, hey, you got this, they could find the cure for the next disease that comes about, and you save their life. Maybe it's a military man or woman that is going through serious depression or something. Maybe you can reach out and say, hey, I believe in you. But believe in yourself first. Believe in your children. Tell your children you love them. I love my daughter with my entire heart, and I would never do anything ever to harm her or put her in any situation that would ever create harm to her. And that's the best I can do. But I can be a platform for her to learn. I can be that stepping stone for her when the water's rising and she's got a safe place to stand. That's the platform. Everything after that, you kind of got to let her do them on their own. And if they jump in the water, you better hope you taught them to swim. Because when they go, they go. And that's what makes them great. And one day if Gracie watches this, my daughter watches this, I want my Gracie to know that I love her with my entire heart. I pray every day for her. I hope that she becomes big and strong, and, I hope she becomes successful in her mind so that she can do good for others. I hope that she learns that it's okay to fall, but you got to get back up and brush yourself off. I want her to know that she needs to go where you're celebrated. You don't have to get around people that only tolerate you. You got to get away from those people. I want her to know that love is in our hearts, and it's a gift that was given to us by God. We can't explain it, but it's given to us by God. I have been blessed with some of the greatest friends. I've been blessed with people on Facebook here that watch these and tolerate me. I've been blessed by having these phone scammers call me up, and I get to have fun with the phone scammers. I had a buddy, I'm not going to say his name. I might wave at him real quick, though. 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm not feeling the greatest. And you know what? He built me back up in a matter of minutes because of how great he is. Love you, Terry. Don't ever forget that. My friend Larry Embry, I think the world of you, my friend. Cherie, you're always going to be gorgeous, girl. I love you to death. Mark, it's always a pleasure. If I don't know some of you people that are on here watching, I hope someday to get to know you. Becky, you're awesome. Cherie, you're on here a couple times. Kevin, you're awesome. Tony Bennett, you're awesome. Kindness goes a mile. Kindness will get us through. Be great, everybody. And know this. You matter. You're important. Get motivated. Have a great day. And this last part is for my daughter Gracie, if she ever goes back and watches these, because I do save everything I do. Gracie Ann, you're the most beautiful little girl in the whole world. You're going to grow up to be a beautiful, successful young lady. I want you to know always, I love you. If I'm not around, God's got your back. I have to put my faith in God because I can't always be there for you. Your grandpa loves you. I love you. Your mom loves you. Your grandma's in heaven. My mom in heaven and your mom's mom in heaven. She loves you. No matter what, we've got your back. I will never give up on you. I'll never do anything that puts you in harm's way. But I'm going to be a platform. If you ever need me, Gracie, even if I'm gone, no matter what, I don't plan on going anytime soon. I'm going to be living to about 200 years old, unfortunately. I'm going to live to be the oldest man in the world. But I want you to know that I'm proud of you. I want you to know I forgive you for anything that ever happened. I want you to know there's nothing you can do that I can't forgive you for. I want you to know that always use communication skills. Always be a better person. Always take the higher road. It's not always going to be great. But, you know, greatness comes to those that can get through the times that things are not always going to be great. You know, it's not about what we get right now. It's about what we set out to do. Our journey, the destination, is not the fun part. It's the journey. It's not the end of the race that matters. It's from start to the middle. The end, we're done. It's moved on to the next thing. So always do your best. Push your hardest. Be your greatest. You are beautiful. I love you no matter what goes on. And you know, if I don't get to see you or something goes on, just always know that. I will always be proud of you, Gracie Ann. Thank you for being my daughter. Thank you for saving my life more times than you'll ever know. Thank you for making me have a reason. And thank you for not telling God that I kind of get mad at him sometimes and he's going to kick my butt. I love you, Gracie Ann. As far as everybody else, y'all are great. Tell your kids you love them. Tell them you're proud of them. Gracie, I'm proud of you and I love you. Everybody on here, I'm grateful you are all part of my life. Have a good one, everybody. I'll see y'all tonight. I definitely got to get a freaking shower. Okay? And you know what? Maybe I should call the scammers back, but you know what? Leave them be. I'll talk with everybody later. God bless everybody. And like I said, God's there whether you want him to be or not. All you got to do is accept him to be there for you. Some of us are scared. Even I get scared at times. Just be better than who you are today. Bye, everybody.